never ever participate in incarnating their own souls within the denser realms. They would never do that. These realms are suffering, and they know that. They don't want to experience that. They want to have the knowledge of good and evil without ever partaking of the tree of knowledge of good and evil themselves. And so this whole hierarchy has evolved over millions of years of humanity, and has evolved in the higher planes of the astral of this world, all under the 72 matrix of the oversouls, that in the end receive all perceptions that are created in these realms as their own second-hand memories, and they never have to partake of it themselves. This is the reason why there is death and suffering within a self that once never experienced death and suffering. It never experienced perceptions of disease, never experienced perceptions of dying, never received perceptions of suffering. Now, all of these experiences of perceptions of suffering are going to just be second-hand memories eventually for these 72 oversouls. They're not going to be their own experiences. Yet every experience that has ever transpired in these lower realms, within animals, humans, over the millions of years as they have guided the course of evolution in these lower realms, all of these experiences of death and suffering are given to the primal essence that flows through all things as its perceptions of what it means to exist and be I am that I am. And a deathless self that is endless and deathless, beginningless and endless, that had endlessly evolved before this in joyous perceptions of I exist and I'm grateful to exist, now evolves in perceptions of I exist but I wish I didn't. And that is what they are giving the primal essence of which they are made of, these 72 oversouls. And this is an abuse of the essence that gives them eternal life as angels. They give to the self that which they do not want to have for their own souls, but want to have the knowledge of. And in this illustration, all of the black dots around the perimeter of this illustration they're just representations of the angels that are pure microcosms of the macrocosmic self, that are given everlasting life within the self, that never partake of this. And the 72 who have formed a matrix of higher selves within all the embodiments of this earth, and have every organism that is born, plant, tree, animal, human, and have it convinced that I am your higher self, now merge your experiences with me. These 72 that surround this earth, who have created these pyramids of hierarchies of higher selves beneath them, draw all of the experiences that are created of suffering within the lower realms, so they have a knowledge of it but never have to partake of it. And they are what is considered to be microcosms within the self that are egocentric, because they are doing unto the essence of the primal self that which they do not want to have firsthand, but want to have a knowledge of. And they are also bringing these perceptions into every other angelic being, because remember, every perception within time and space, when it is part of the unified field, the hollow matrix of consciousness, instantly flows into every other part of duality. Now, these other hundreds of billions of angels that do not do this, who are not fallen angels, but always are in a state of Merkaba, they are receiving through this primal essence that flows through all of life the perceptions of suffering that these 72 are bringing to the one self, and of which you and I are pawns in this process. Here again I have the same illustration, except for I put a black line going through the top of the hierarchy of higher selves that they have constructed in these astral realms. That line represents them. They never end. Yet everything they create below them eventually merges back into them. And they never have to actually experience it firsthand, but they have a knowledge of it. This is a lie. They have created offspring and used them as pawns. And this has been going on for millions of years. And these pawns, these offspring that are really angels and are taught they are not, are taught that they must emerge again someday with this higher self that presents itself as a benevolent elder or oversoul of the matrix, and give it all of its perceptions. Because that oversoul never wanted to experience any of it. This is why death and suffering has occurred within the deathless self. Now, all of these are perceptions, yet everything within time and space is a perception. And the only real thing is the essence that flows through all things. But how does that essence know what it means to exist? Through the perceptions of time and space that it is given through duality. And this is what they are giving it, and have been giving it for millions of years. Why did the 72 angel oversouls choose this paradigm of evolution billions of years ago? Well, they were different from the other angels. They were a fallen group. They are egocentric. They see their own egos, angelic egos, within duality as separate from that which surrounds them, to the point that they can do to that which surrounds them that which they would not have done to their own souls. And they are not self-centric. Again, I use the illustration of the Star of David, which is a state of Merkaba. They are represented by the triangle that goes down. They're egocentric. They use the essence that gives them life, create souls out of that essence, and have those souls put into realms where they perceive death and suffering, or at least lesser perceptions of joy. I'm going to digress, but I would like to say this is one thing that needs to be said. It's very important. There is nothing in these lower realms that these angel oversouls really want for their own experience, because they have the power to embody their own souls into these lower realms. No matter how joyous you may see your life, and I hope you do find perceptions of joy, everything you experience is metaphorically a rotten apple compared to their experiences of the real sweet apple. They don't ever want to relinquish the joyous realm of the angelic everlasting life realm that they have. That is why they remain as a matrix of oversouls who never actually want to leave the light, but want to have memories of darkness by creating using their offspring as pawns. This has been going on again for at least 4 to 5 billion years within the self. And we are taught that we are not angels. And that is not a truth. Angels act in harmony with the self. And these are fallen angels that have not done that. They have not evolved yet into a self-centric behavior, putting the self first that we all share. They are more egocentric. The lie of the elders. Again, there are 72 that guide the cycles of reincarnation over all humanity, and have also, before these cycles of reincarnation began, created the metaphorical Garden of Eden, guided the evolution of the life forms on this realm so that they would have vehicles by which to incarnate their offspring in. They say to these oversouls these oversouls say to their offspring, you are not angels, you are humans. This is how we evolve. They say, we are your higher selves within duality of time and space. And that is a lie, because there is only one higher self, and that is the essence of the unified field that flows through all things. They are not your higher selves. Now, you may tap into, while you are incarnated here, memories of the soul that created you, and think that they are your own experiences of a past life. You are connected to all that is at every moment. You have the ability to experience extrasensory perception of remote viewing. You have the ability to tap into other people's memories. And you most definitely, as you were formed out of the one macrocosmic deathless self, do have the imprint of the parent soul that created you, because it left its handiwork as it creates you out of the one self. You may be similar in personality as children are to their parents. But these are not your higher selves. Your soul began the moment they created you, right before you were led into the denser realms of this incarnation. That is when you were brought into time and space. And you are, as part of this paradigm of suffering, always forbidden to partake of the second tree in the allegory of the Garden of Eden, the tree of life, that was then guarded by angels and cherubims and flaming swords after Adam fallen, proverbially fallen.